Hello, guys, and hello, everybody who joined us today. It's lovely weather here in Manchester. I hope it's lovely where you are. And thank you for taking the time to join us in this introduction to Godel Advisory. My name is Anastassia Davidzenka. I'm VP of Professional Services in Godel. I'm based here in Manchester. And today we are going to talk to you about, our services, what we can and can't do. And I'm aware that those of you who have worked with us for quite some time, might have already used the services, but at the time they were known as consultancy services. So it's definitely not new. It's just rebranding and rethinking of the things that we can offer and our capabilities. So with me today, I have Jade. But before I hand to Jade, I'll let her introduce herself. Guys, I can see that we already have about 30 people and people are joining, so we just don't want to waste any time. It's only half an hour today. I'd like to draw your attention to Q&A box, which is on top of the screen. So this is one way, and we just want to hear any feedback, any questions. There will be a delay as they get published, but because there is pre-moderation, but we'll answer all your questions in the end. So welcome again. Thank you for joining, and I'll hand over to Jade.
Great, thank you, Anastassia. So yes, welcome everybody. Nice to hopefully see everybody today. I'm also based in sunny Manchester. My name is Jade Evans. I am Head of Advisory Pre-Sales here at Godel Technologies. I have been with the business for over 4 years now, and my role is to work really closely with our existing partners, any new partners when we do see that the advisory service offering is a good fit. So what we've got is just a few slides to talk you through. We're going to give you a whistle-stop tour, make sure that you leave with a good understanding of what we do, why we do it, and bring to life maybe a few examples of some of the work that we've done with our partners. It is half an hour, so we definitely won't go through everything, but we're always happy to have conversations if you would like to find out a little bit more post this webinar today. So if I just give a very high level introduction, our advisory services essentially are supporting our partners in their earlier phases of the journey. So this is when we are thinking about how do we design things from an architecture perspective, technology perspective, what products do we invest in and why do we invest in those? Making sure that we're supporting when you are making strategic decisions or you're trying to solve technical complex problems that's going to help you then move into the implementation phases. So that's in short what advisory does. We'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. But there's a saying that a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that's something that I suppose we want to make sure that we can support our clients, that they don't feel like they're just going to their board with kind of a goal and a wish of what they want to achieve, but they actually have more clarity and confidence in what they're doing, helping you unlock those budgets and helping you move forward as an organisation. So as Anastassia mentioned, we've actually been supporting with this service offering for over 5 years now. We've been in business for over 20 years, operating as a nearshore software development partner. But what we've also done is, as well as responding to the needs of our partners, we like to keep a close eye on the market and what other businesses are experiencing when they are thinking about whether it's digital transformation or big changes or where they invest and what they do. So interestingly, when we look at the likes of the Harvard Business Review, McKinsey, Forrester, and these sorts of sources, we actually see some really impactful statistics that over 60 to 70% of technology projects fail. So that's quite hard-hitting and negative to hear, and a lot of that is due to not investing enough in those earlier phases, so not making the right strategic alignment decisions, not making the right technology choices, and not planning enough for the long term as well as your short-term needs as a business. What we're seeing that equate to is in the UK, approximately 1.5 to 3 million pounds is being lost per year due to inefficient technology projects. So that's something something that we're really wanting to make sure that we can provide a solution to our partners and help them on that journey. So that's obviously, more of a doom and gloom aspect to it. But actually, what we also see is the adverse. So we see some really positive statistics that if you do invest into the earlier phases, you will be so much more likely to succeed. And that's what we're really focused on, making sure that we can support those journeys with our partners with. So what we see is organizations that are investing into that discovery phase when they're going on a digital transformation journey are over 3.5 times more likely to deliver those projects on time and to budget. And what we see is if we think about, well, how much should you be investing of your overall transformation initiative and budget pot for this, the companies that are spending at least 25%, so a quarter of that investment into early discovery, design, and making the right technology choices, planning, understanding what resource capacity that you're going to need to deliver these things, they're seeing up to 60% higher success rates. So that's the real positive and why we really, really believe in making sure that we can provide this offering to our partners, because a lot of the times we're involved in the implementation and the development of these solutions as well. So we want to set these teams up for success, and we want to help you as technology leaders feel really confident in terms of when you're getting this budget from your business, and then you're helping technology lead the way to help you achieve your business goals. So now if I give you maybe just a quick overview of, a lot of you already work with us as your nearshore software development partner, supplementing your teams or using our Godel pods. You'll be very used to the fact that we're a medium to long-term partner. We want to support you on your business critical missions and applications, and really support you and make sure we're providing that predictability around quality, around scale, and around cost, working in an agile manner with you. In its simplest form, the primary difference with the advisory service offering is in its duration of the engagement and also the nature of the work that we're focused on. So I've already touched on the fact that we're supporting in those earlier stages. So really making sure whether you need this to build a business case to be able to take to the organization to get the funding signed off before you can actually bring the development teams onto working on it, or you just want that clarity and confidence on what's the right direction and that support to make sure that you're making those right choices. So it's a shorter term engagement in nature. On average, we see our advisory engagements being anywhere between 1 to 3 months most commonly. We have an independent unit of advisors in Godel. So these are really, really highly skilled experts in their fields that can work closely with the leaders of your organization to make sure that we understand exactly what you're looking to achieve, and you can benefit from their expertise of working hands-on with lots of different organizations and being really close to industry best practice and what's going on in technology and what's up and coming in technology. So the primary difference in terms of obviously we're working in an agile way with our teams. With advisory, we'll actually be a little bit more specific with you guys on, right, if we're agreeing, for example, to a 3-month engagement, we'll be specific together. We'll understand what problem you're trying to solve, and we'll agree, well, what scope are we going to focus on? What outputs are we going to deliver off the back of this? Are there certain artifacts that you need as an organization? And ultimately making sure that we have an agreed goal in terms of the outcome that we're looking to deliver against. So that's the primary difference in terms of the two service offerings. If we look at our capabilities within advisory, it falls into 4 key buckets. So that's product, technology, operations, and data and AI. So you'll see a few bullet points under each of the areas. It's by no means a definitive list of everything that we do within each of the buckets, but these are the most common use cases that we're supporting. So in the product space, if you're thinking about, right, well, we have a number of products across the organization, but what do we invest in? Why do we invest in it? What's the best strategy for us? We can come and support on that journey. You might already have a clear direction, but actually those visions aren't quite ready for development teams to pick it up. So you might just need some help in making sure that we really bring that clarity around, well, what actually does a development team need to do to be able to deliver those outcomes for you? in the interest of time, what we'll do is we'll actually talk you through a few examples of some of the pieces of work that we've done with other clients. But definitely, if you see anything on the screen that seems like it's something that you will be focused on, whether it's now or in the future, we're always here to have a conversation and talk about how we might be able to help you or how we've done things with other partners, even if it's just you want some food for thought and some back and forth in terms of ideas that you are thinking about. So I'll pass over to Anastassia at this point first to talk you through an example of where we've supported a business with a technology assessment and transformation.
Yeah, thank you, Jade. So it was a very interesting example. And actually, the reason why we've chosen it for today's presentation, I would say it's quite typical. So we were approached by a business who operated in the automotive industry and who classed themselves as the data providers for dealerships. And what they do, they basically, they collect all the data about customers. So in a way, it's CRM system, and about their vehicles, about any service history, about any replacements, and so on and so forth. So, and provide very valuable data insights. So as many of the businesses face the same challenge, their core platform was quite outdated, about 10 to 15 years old code, spaghetti code, not documented, not scalable. And basically the leadership was facing the problem that A, they had very little confidence in the fact that, it will support their further business scale. And B, they were facing quite a significant tender, which they were hoping to win, but the system didn't have the functionality that it needed, and they weren't certain that it would be performing, in this scaled environment with such a big contract. And therefore, their challenge was two-faced. On one hand, they still had to maintain the platform, and their in-house development team was spending most of their time fixing bugs and doing only very, very small percentage of new feature development. So it wasn't efficient in a way, their lead time was huge. So on one hand, we had to deliver the new features, and they had to be in the old platform because of the urgency of them. And at the same time, we needed to look at the bigger picture, at the more holistic picture, and define the to-be architecture. So, with this in mind, we basically had to categorize the business needs and put them in two buckets, or whether they go in the existing platform and how they are designed and developed in a way that they could be easily migrated into the new to-be architecture. As part of it, we did the cloud assessment and the services that they provide. We did cost optimization. And in the end, the business was presented with a very clear plan as to how they will migrate from as-is architecture into to-be architecture, with some cost saving along the way on the cloud services that they use. And we helped them to build the business case for the board, because it was, as you can imagine, to replace the core system is quite a significant investment. So this was probably, a mixture between tech assessment and technical transformation, and it was a very complex problem. However, as Jade alluded to, it's not technical assessments and technical problems are not the only ones that we solve. We also deal with product, with data, with AI, and we wanted to give you a highlight of another success story in the product space.
Great, thank you, Anastassia. So in the product world, we were supporting one of our partners where they were very much looking at what vision and what strategy that they should take moving forward. So this particular client is within financial services, and they focused on the UK market and the retirement market. And they have a range of multiple different products that they offer to their customers and their users. And being in financial services, economic factors have a huge impact on where they need to focus, because where inflation is, where interest rates is, ultimately dictates where consumer demand is going to come from. So actually, it's a huge responsibility for the chief technology officer and the chief product officer that we were working really closely on, to make sure that they are making the right decisions for the business in terms of where they focus their investment. It's a common challenge that they have a huge legacy estate as well as some modern technology. They actually are doing a level of consolidation. So they are trying to balance technology transformation along with making sure that they are also delivering business value. And like every business, I think it's fair to say they have a limited budget. They don't have enough budget to do everything that they want to do. So they have to make some really informed, considered decisions that are going to actually have a huge impact on the business. If they make the wrong choice, they're going to have a huge impact on their revenue. And they already have a very high cost and cost to change and to get to market and to take advantage of these opportunities. So they have to think very carefully about where they invest their money. So that's where they lent on our advisory services to be able to help them. So they had a fair idea of where they think the market was going to go, but where they were, their technology and their product was not actually in a place to be able to take on the demand that could come if the predictions were correct. So actually what they wanted us to do was look across the product base and help them figure out where do they invest into product development? How can they design things that are going to evolve with a changing market, just in case they maybe don't quite make the right decisions? How can they make sure that they're set up to be able to support a few different outcomes? Which initiatives are going to drive the highest amount of value to the business? How can they make sure that they balance it with the digital transformation that is ongoing in parallel with this? And they were not just thinking about the next year, they had to be thinking about the next 3+ years in terms of where they were going to invest their funding and talk to their board and their executive team about that. What we also wanted to make sure that we did is once we'd done this piece of work, we actually coupled this with a level of product discovery as well. So once we helped the business identify where were the top priorities, we wanted to take that top priority and make sure that we built a backlog that was ready for a development team to be able to pick it up pretty much straight away and then just start implementing. So what you will actually see on the timeline in the corner is I did mention that our average duration for a Godel Advisory engagement is 1 to 3 months, because we were kind of coupling two things together because it made sense for this business, for the speed that they needed to be able to move from securing investment to be able to start implementing their choices. It was actually a slightly longer one of 4 months. So what we did was we were able to focus on analysing things today, make sure that we really refined the problem statement and what they were trying to achieve, and we helped them build that strategy plan to be able to move forward, because for them, they didn't have the funding already signed off. They needed to be able to go to the business, get sign off from the board and agreement for them to be able to move forward. What was really great about this engagement though was we were able to support them to feel confident in themselves that actually it was the right decision to do, because it was evidence-based, it was informed, we'd done all the work behind it, gave them the confidence to go to the board, and they did get the budget signed off for that year and also for 3 years beyond in terms of the overall initiative. And I'm very pleased to report that for this business it was the right choice that they made. The market opportunity did come into fruition that they needed to take advantage of. And because of the work that they did and the fact that we were able to prepare that top priority to be really seamlessly and quickly ready for a development team to pick up, they were able to take advantage of those market opportunities. So the demand from the users came in rapidly. It came in really, really quickly. And the product that we'd able to develop was then able to support that demand. And what they saw was over the next 1 to 2 years, the sales increased by 16% up to 1 billion. So they were able to take advantage of that market opportunity, which had they not have been able to do this work and felt confident about this, they possibly would have had that loss in revenue from not being able to support that amount of users that came with the way the market went. So that was a really great success story, and we involved a variety of different skill sets to be able to support. So some product specialists in terms of some lead BAs to help really map out, think about the enterprise prioritization, the opportunities, the service blueprints, all these sorts of things, but very much because we wanted to make sure that it tied in with the digital and technical transformation that was ongoing, ensuring that we had a strong solution architect working really, really closely. And because of the nature of this particular product, we couldn't ignore design. We had to make sure that from that user interface and user experience perspective, it was going to be great for the user, so that when this market opportunity came on, they want to use this product rather than go to other competitions as well. So it was a real blend of different skill sets that we involved across the 4 months to help us get to that outcome. So that's a product example. What we wanted to also share was just our contact details as well, both for myself and Anastassia. We are very friendly. Please connect with us on LinkedIn. We're always here to have a conversation, even if you just want to talk to us about your goals as an organisation, what you're trying to achieve. If you feel like any of this really feels like it could be something that you could benefit from, we're always happy to have these conversations, whether you need it now, whether you need it later down in the future. So please do feel free to connect with us. And now what we wanted to do was open the floor out to some questions.
Superb. Thank you, Jade. So we have a couple of questions. Sorry, I don't know why they keep on disappearing. So the first one, for a business that hasn't previously invested much into a discovery phase, what would you recommend as the first steps for trying to incorporate this into their digital transformation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that, to be honest, is actually a really good fit for our advisory services, because if you've not engaged in discovery phases before, that's okay. There's always a good time to start something new. But I think what we can do is we've done this very, very regularly. So we can actually talk you through how it would look like before we even dive into anything and start doing it. We can have a conversation about what it would look like, what you get out of the discovery phase, what's the purpose of it. We could have a good conversation with some of our experts to sort of talk you through about why we would do it and the benefits that it will bring later down the line. So I think we should first have a conversation so that you fully understand exactly what it is and what we do as part of it. But as you saw with the statistics that we shared from the wider market, it's really, really critical that you do this. If you don't do it, even though I know it feels like a strong upfront investment, and sometimes it can be really, really difficult to sell that to your board about, well, we're going to discover something and we might not even do it. We might not even get anything off the back of it. I understand that that is a really difficult sell, but as you saw, 60 to 70% of projects are failing if we miss this step, because actually what you'll find is it's more costly for you, because you might find yourself making the wrong technology choices. You might find yourself backing yourself into a corner because you might have been trying to solve one particular problem, but actually maybe it doesn't align with the wider business goals, the wider purpose of your digital transformation. And what we are very strong on is making sure that whilst we do appreciate tactical decisions are something we can't ignore, and you might have things that you need to be able to deliver for your business right now, they're revenue generating, they're business critical, they're super, super important. We can't ignore it. What we always want to make sure that we do is have a strong organized understanding of the wider business goals and plans, because what we can do, because we've seen it, we've done it with many different organizations, we can see if we've got any dependencies or any conflicts in those, and we can help guide you and find a solution so that we can still deliver that tactical opportunity or solve that pain point or whatever it might be, but we're not going to back ourselves into a corner where it's actually going to cause you a lot more pain and a lot more cost later down the line. So I would say let's just start with a conversation, not go too sort of like heavy and strong into it, but absolutely without a discovery phase, I actually think it will cost you more.
Oh, superb. Thank you, Jade. And we have another question, which I think is a great question. I wish I knew who posted it. How do you ensure alignment between technical solutions and business goals?
Oh, that's easy. We just make sure that we include someone who's a product specialist and someone who's a technical specialist, but we have them working strongly in collaboration together. So as you actually saw on that previous example, it was more of a product goal that we were trying to achieve, but we did not ignore technology during that. We made sure that we included a solution architect in there, because the two worlds have to meet, they have to merge, they have to work in collaboration together, and we have to make sure that they enable and support each other rather than fight against each other. So what you'll actually find is most likely, depending on the challenge that we're trying to solve, it'll be very common that, for example, we will be including both types of specialists and advisors in there, and they're very used to working together and making sure that it's complementary of anything that we deliver.
Absolutely. And in the 5 years since our consultancy service has been launched, I haven't seen a business proposal that didn't include business discovery. So where we usually start is like we need to understand the business goals up front. So we do client discovery sessions with stakeholders from various parts of the business, and we map out the objectives, you know, from all the division, so all divisions, all stakeholders, so that we can tailor our solution to actually achieving the goal. Then, you know, it's great that in the modern world, everything is delivered in the agile, because this frequent feedback loop and feeding back to the business with building the business stories, use cases, verifying that they're right and prioritizing them is extremely, extremely important. You know, the team doesn't take the work and go away. They actually are in the extremely close collaboration with the stakeholders and making sure that we are going in the right direction. And for any solution that we design, whether it's a data platform or whether it's new to be architecture or it's a new product vision, you know, we always agree, you know, what are the metrics, what are the KPIs, how we are going to measure the success, what are the hard figures that we need to hit, whether it's to increase the conversion, to improve the performance, to increase the scalability, to decrease time to market, to improve the quality. You know, we actually focus before we start doing anything, designing anything, we just need to understand how the success will be measured. So it's always very iterative, very sort of focused on the feedback and on the business objectives. Right, and I can't see any further questions, guys. We'll probably give about maybe 30 seconds for you to post them. There is a delay. Oh, so just bear with me. We have another question. What's the average timeline for an advisory service? So Jade, maybe talk about our usual lead times and the sort of time to complete an advisory project.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're talking about a timeline for the actual service, as I mentioned, on average, it's probably between 1 and 3 months, depending on what problem that you are looking to solve, what area that you want us to focus on. In terms of the timeline to engage with us and figure out, well, you know, can you help us? What would it look like, etc. To be honest, you know, within 1 to 2 weeks, as quickly as that, we can form something together, or we could be having conversations over a longer period of time, depending how many different stakeholders on your side need and want to be involved in the journey. So really, it can be as quick or as slow as we want it to be. To touch on the lead times, as Anastassia mentioned, as you'll know, with our core service offering, our average target lead times are 10 to 12 weeks. With our advisory services, they're much quicker. So typically, we're looking anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks before we kick off with you guys. From once you're comfortable with the proposal, you believe it's the right thing to solve your problem, and you're ready to sort of sign a contract with us. On average, it's probably 2 to 4 weeks before we'd have boots on the ground.
Superb. And we have another question from Jules. As part of the advisory service, can you offer advisors that can come on site in the UK and spend time in the HQ?
Absolutely. So it's funnily enough, it's something that we've done on a number of our different engagements. So as you'll know, the majority of our specialists are based in Eastern Europe. That's exactly the same with the advisory service offering. But because we are shorter term in nature for the duration of these engagements, we absolutely see the benefit of spending some time face to face. So a common way of doing it would maybe either be kicking off in person and closing in person, or maybe doing something a bit more in the middle with some of the workshops that we are doing. So what we'll do is we'll have a conversation with you about where we think we're going to get the most value out of the engagement, depending on the duration and who's involved, availability, etc. But absolutely, we can get them on site with you guys, or vice versa. If it's easier for you, we can also invite you and host you in any of our offices in, say, Poland, Lithuania, etc.
Thank you, Jade. Let's see whether we have any further questions. No, don't think so. And I think we're coming to our end time anyway. Thank you, Jade, so much for your time and for explaining how consultancy advisory services work.
No problem. Thank you so much, Anastassia. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you've left with a good understanding of what we do. I know we only had half an hour, so if you have any more questions, please do feel free to reach out. We're always here for a conversation, just to chat, a coffee, etc. So, and hopefully hear from some of you at some point later down the line.
Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.